Hello everyone, and welcome back. Alright, well, this is not a pick-in video, and this is not another package video. This is going to be another how-to video, and that's going to be how to put some custom wooden handles on pretty much a lot of the picks that you have in your own personal pick sets. They don't have to be custom picks that you make yourself or anything. If you don't like the handles that are on some of the picks that are in your own personal set, this is a good option. And me personally, I've gotten very used to these handles. I use them a lot now on my own custom picks. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to throw these custom wooden handles on these picks by using the materials that you see right here in front of you. Pretty cheap too. I mean, this is probably about $20 to $25 in materials. I mean, you're talking about $6 or $7 a piece for the stain and the polyurethane. I got these 50 popsicle sticks. I got these right from the corner store, Walgreens, for like $1.50. Enough for 25 picks. And then I got these, I can't remember, some craft store in town, 150 for like $3. And then you're going to need some epoxy. This is Loctite Epoxy. This actually setting in 1 minute. I don't think I was paying attention when I bought this. I probably would have got it like maybe like more like a 5 minute if they have it. But yeah, so I'm only able to maybe get 2 picks at a time, and then this stuff just starts setting real quick. But you're gonna need some Loctite. You're gonna need, these are real cheap too, some regular foam brushes. If you don't have a vise, I use these to clamp them together. You could get these at any office store, Staples or something like that. I use those and little sandpaper, and that's about it. That's all you need, and you can put your own custom wooden handles on your own picks. Most of you know that I do make my own custom picks. Like I said, you don't have to make custom picks to put handles on them, obviously. And it's a great option because I actually have a couple of picks here that were custom picks that were sent to me from Trickmaster. And these came with the dipped handles, and I used them quite a bit. So the handles started fraying here, and they started peeling back. I started taping them with electrical tape, and they just started to look like hell. So I took the liberty and I put some of my wooden handles on them, and like I said, for me, they're very comfortable. Got really used to using them, and yeah, now I polish them up a little bit, so these are like brand new again. Probably gonna end up using them a lot more. This one here, this one was a Sparrows in 15 thousandths, just like this one here. We're going to be throwing a handle on this one for you today. And these, you don't have the option of getting the thermal handles or whatever these rubber handles are called from Sparrows, and this here is a Euro. We're going to throw a handle on this one for you today, and we're going to throw a handle on this one here, and this is from the 12-piece stainless steel pick sets that I've been giving away in my giveaways. We're going to throw a handle on this one too, instead of using the option of the rubber handles that they give you with this kit. So, and well, this one here is just another sample. I'm not going to throw a handle on this one, but this is a Southward from the Slim line. And like I said, you could pretty easily throw a wooden handle on this one too. So we're going to put this one aside because, like I said, I'm not going to throw a handle on that one. I don't even use this pick ever. So, and these here, these little wooden handles, I'm actually saving all these. I think I'm going to play with that little lathe that I got from Banggood. I'm going to use these little wooden handles for it. But alright, let's put aside the materials that we're not going to be using right yet. And put these picks aside, and this is what we're going to be working with. We have 3 picks today, and I'll zoom this down here a little bit closer for us. Alright, so we're going to be throwing wooden handles on these 3 picks today. And when I take the handles off these, like I said, I like saving them. You know, they make a good emergency handles in case, well, I used to actually throw them on these 15 thousandths picks when I used to get them. But I just peel them off and I actually save them. And I'm going to show you how these come off real easily. If I could find my razor here. You want a sharp razor. And what I do is I take it and I peel it right here. And then I very carefully, let me see, I think that's not focusing right. Very carefully, I'll peel it all the way down till I get to the end. Simple as that. Peel it back. And we're going to peel it out. Take care of that real quick. In this stage of the game is a good time if you want to polish up your pick. This is the time to do it, guys. Instead of waiting till you put the wooden handles on them, because then when you polish them, you're going to end up starting to bump into the wood after they're already polished up. And I already polished these two up a little bit. Then you could always repolish them when the wood's on them. It's not as bad. But when you need to really get down and polish them, you want to do that now in the stage. And we're going to do that real quick. Right? Oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to hit the camera. We're going to do that real quick right now. And let me zoom this back out. Don't need it up there like that. Alright, I have 1200 and I have 1000. We'll use the 1200. And I have a little bit of water here on the side. When I talk about wet sanding, I'm not talking about soaking the sandpaper. And when I normally, if I want to thin down picks, I'll usually close the cover, but because I'm just basically polishing this up, I'll just use my thumb on it. And you want to put some barrier between it, because this could get very hot. It could get extremely hot, and your thumb will start burning a little bit. I'm not going to go too crazy with the polishing, but we will polish it up a little bit before we put those handles on. Alright, that's good enough. I mean, I've already took the hard edges off this one anyways. Alright, let's put this back aside. Now we're ready to prepare to put the wooden handles on. Now on your popsicle sticks, when you take your measurement, you want to leave a little bit of room here on the end, because we're going to be grinding it, and you want to make sure you have enough room. And then this is where we're going to be cutting it, of course, right here. So make sure we cut them at the right length. And I've already took the liberty of already cutting down some handles for this. So what we're going to do next is we are going to prepare the handle themselves. Now you don't want to just epoxy these right to the handles, because they could probably peel off pretty easily. So that's where the heavy duty sandpaper comes in, and in my case I use my Dremel little sanding wheel on there, and we're going to just rough up the handles a little bit. And this could get a little bit loud, so you might want to turn it down a little bit. Be careful, because these can get hot too when you're using a Dremel. That's about it. We are done with that. So now we are ready to put our wooden handles on. And two of these are a little longer. So I want to make sure I have the right ones for the right picks. Yep, these are the longer ones. Alright. Like I said, I got the 1 minute epoxy, so when I do this, I gotta do it fairly quick. So I'm going to have everything prepared here for when I do break out the epoxy. put it on this here. Move that a little bit more. Put it on this paper here. Alright, let's break out some epoxy. Grab my napkin. Okay, this is a two-part epoxy. I got a little nail here that I mix it up with. Oh, we got little metal shavings there. Alright. Try to break out enough that we could do all three at once. Like I said, you need to work very quickly when you're using this 1 minute epoxy. Oh, and I should have had this already ready to go too. Oh, my scissors here. Cut a little piece of foam off of this. And here we go. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Epoxy both sides of this. Bring it right up to where you want it. Once this stuff dries, it is set and you can't do anything else with it. Okay, I'm going to put that aside for a minute. I'll go to the next one. Right to the edge where we want it. And one more. This stuff is already starting to gel up. But we're going to make it. All right. Okay, like I said, if I could keep this thing in focus, I'm going to be putting it right up to where you want it. And we are going to clamp these together. And make sure that your metal, when you do it like that, is not sticking out. You gotta make sure you're in all the way. Didn't move that, mean to move that out. I probably put a little bit too much epoxy in this one. Just make sure that it's on the other side of the wood. These are very powerful clamps, so they work very well. Same with this one. And last but not least, we got it pretty much where we want it. And we're going to clamp it. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we are going to give, well, at least a couple hours for this 1 minute to dry. In my case, it'll be till tomorrow because it is nighttime, and I'm not going to do this in the room because the sawdust tends to fly. I don't mind grinding the steel down when I'm making the picks, but the wood, just the sawdust just gets everywhere. So that's all I have for you right now. I'll be back in a little while, and we'll go to the next step. So I'll be back, guys. Alright, we're outside today, and well, I didn't want to do this in the lab because I didn't want sawdust flying everywhere. And we're actually outside for the second time. I went to download some of these sections of this video to my laptop this morning, and well, somehow the section where I'd already did this with the original pics for this video, and I don't know, I lost that section somehow. So I have a couple pics here that I was going to be wanting to put some handles on anyway, so I just put a couple handles on these, and I will, we'll grind these down, and then we'll go back upstairs with the original picks, and yeah, we'll finish up with them picks. But I wanted to get some handles on these anyways. This is the Matador from Sparrows, and this is just another standard hook from the 12-piece set, basically almost just like the one that's in this video that I had already done. So let me zoom this up for us, and we will get this started. Now, one more thing now. Excuse me. I know I mentioned in the video a little bit later that if you don't have a bench grinder, it's still pretty easily to do this step. If you just put this in a vise, maybe take a block of wood with some coarse sandpaper, and you could pretty much sand these down pretty quickly, I would think. But like I think I also mentioned that this here, I got this bench grinder, and it comes with two wheels. Comes with a coarse wheel and a fine wheel, and I got this from Amazon for like less than $40, like $39 and some change. That was tax, that was shipping, everything. So they aren't expensive at all. They are pretty cheap. So all right, let's get this started here. We're just going to basically be giving these the shape of the pick, and then we're going to bring it upstairs, and we're going to finish off with some handwork, finish shaping it the rest of the way before we throw some stain on it. But we're going to get the initial shaping of the handle. You want to be careful at this end, try not to hit the pick itself. You're just taking it right down to the metal itself. Once you do that, it'll end up pretty straight. And I think we've accomplished that on this side. Maybe a hair more here in the back. Tends to burn the ends a little bit, but I use the dark stain anyway, and that comes off with some sanding. A hair more. And that's about it. This one's basically shaped, and you do the rest by hand. Alright, let's do one more. metal underneath gets hot. You don't want to really touch it if you don't have to. The heat does travel. Yep, there we go. We have the basic shape of our handles now. So we'll go back upstairs with the original picks, and well, I'll take care of these ones later. But yeah, we just got the original shape, and we're gonna go upstairs and we're gonna finish them off by hand. And yeah, bench grinders are great, but like I said, you could probably do this process by hand. This one here actually comes with a couple of guards too for sparks and stuff when you're doing the picks themselves. But all right, let's bring this back upstairs. When I will be right back. All right, we're back up here in the lab, and this is where the handwork comes in, the finishing of the shaping of the handles before staining. And then after we do that, then we go forward, well, the staining. And you're gonna wanna probably stick around for the staining and, you know, polyurethaning, because I have learned a few things there too, you know, that I just like to share with you. And I took the liberty of, on the bench grinder, and this is the first time I just was trying to bevel out the edges a little bit. And it does burn the wood. I'm not concerned with that. I use a dark stain, but a little bit of sanding, and I've, you know, touched up this side a little bit. A little bit of sanding, that would come right off anyways. As you can see on this one here, I've already done that to one side of this one. I'm only going to be showing you probably one of these picks. I'm just trying to make this video a little bit shorter. Then I'll do the other two off camera. And then, well, then we'll come back and we'll go through the staining and polyurethaning. I'm using a coarse sandpaper, and I don't go down to a fine sandpaper or nothing. I just stay with the one sandpaper. And I do everything just with the coarse sandpaper, and it works out pretty well. It's pretty smooth with a couple coats of polyurethane. I mean, comes out pretty decent. So let's start that now. We're just trying to basically get them pretty smooth and taking off the dirt and grime that were left on them from the grinding process, the glue and stuff like that from the grinder. And you know, you could have probably do that process that I did on the grinder with a block of wood and sandpaper. Maybe put this in the vise and sand it down. But I mean, those grinders, they're pretty cheap. I mean, I got mine on Amazon for less than $30, and that was with shipping and everything. All right, we're gonna want to round off these edges here. That makes it way more comfortable than those sharp edges in your hand. And this is one of the thickest ones. This is from the 12-piece, and you can see this is going to be much thicker than that one. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to feel in the hand, and it's a little thick, but we'll see. And you could always grind, you know, could always sand them down even a little bit thinner. But we're going to round off these corners on all of them, all four corners. I'm just twisting it around, you know, sanding and turning, sanding and turning, sanding and turning. That's all I'm doing. And I'm just getting all the edges. And it's pretty quick. I mean, I'm using a coarse sandpaper, so it doesn't take too much. And you get some nice rounded corners, or rounded edges, I want to say. And it feels pretty good in the hand. Like I said before, I've gotten pretty used to the feel of my own custom picks now. So I like putting these handles on pretty much all the picks that I get now. Sparrows, I'll take those thermal handles right out. I won't even order them with thermal handles anymore. You save $1 per pick. You know, they're $5.75, I think, US with the thermal handle, and $4.75. No, excuse me, $5.75 Canadian. And $4.75 US without, or Canadian without, and that comes out to pretty cheap in US. somewhere closer to $4 a pick if you get them without the handles. Okay, we're going to round off a little bit here in the bottom. When you go around that process too, it tends to burn it a little bit there too. So we'll get some of that off. Like I said, I use a dark stain, so none of that bothers me. But if you just wanted to polyurethane it bare like that, I mean, or something, you might want to try to sand it off a little bit. Or if you're using a light stain, but it does come off. Like I said, that burnt on the grinder, but I've already sanded most of it down on this side. Alright, then you wipe off all the sawdust, check out your corners, feel them, you know, feel what it feels like in the hand, and this one actually feels pretty good. Even though it's a little thicker than what I'm used to, it really feels good. Put a little bit more on the corners. And then we'll touch it up one more time up near the pick on the other side. I've already done one side. Just trying to make the video a little bit shorter. Alright. I think the handle feels pretty good now. All the corners, or all the edges are rounded off nicely. Here at the bottom. Maybe a little bit more right here. But that's what the inspections are for. Look at it, make some adjustments. Alright, I think we're good there. Now we're going to, I already did one side of this, rounded it off a little bit around the edges. Now we need to do this side a little bit. That's when I'll usually, I do it normally on the corner of my desk, but I got a little block of wood here. And you just want to be careful. Try not to hit the pick itself, because you're gonna scratch it up. And I made a little mistake here on the grinder. Came a little closer to this one. I don't know if you can see that. Scratched it a little bit, but that's all right. I was just trying to rush a little bit, but if you're careful when you're doing this, everything comes out pretty awesome. Me, I'm just trying to rush a little bit, just to shorten up the video a little bit, because it's going to be a long video. I apologize for that. I was going to make it 2 parts, but we're just going to do it all in one part, one video. Get it done, so to speak. Alright, I think this pick is ready for some staining. Like I said, I'll do the other 2 off camera, and then we'll come back and we'll throw some stain on these things. I probably should touch up this edge a little bit. I think I forgot these edges actually. You do want to get the top and bottom. And I actually think I forgot those. While you're continually rounding the edges. Alright, that's good. That's perfect. Alright, so now we got something to stain. Alright guys, let me set that up and I will be right back, and I'll finish doing these 2. We'll come back and we'll put some stain on these, because popsicle sticks, you think that's pretty porous wood, like it would stain pretty easily, but it doesn't stain that easily. So stain just doesn't want to stick on it if you don't use the process that I'm going to show you. So we'll be right back. Alright. Okay, I believe we have all 3 picks where we need them to be. They all look pretty nice. All the corners are nicely rounded off now. All taken care of up here near the picks. All 3 of them. And I'm glad you stuck around, you know, for the staining of these, because like I said, I have learned a few things in the process of staining and polyurethaning these. I know, everybody knows how to stain something polyurethane, but one thing I did learn that the wood that's in this popsicle sticks does not like to take the stain very well, so you can't just put it on and just wipe it off. And that's where these come in handy again. Again, you can get them at your office supply place, Staples or whatever. And we've used them to clamp them when we were gluing them. Well, we're going to use them in the next couple stages too, because we're going to be hanging these picks from them, and I got these hanging in a few places in the lab here, and we're going to be hanging them from these. So, but anyways, let's get to staining them. You're going to want to have a napkin handy because they're going to be dripping. A couple napkins here. Now, I use Minwax wood finish penetrating stain. I'm using red chestnut. Like I said, I use a darker stain, so if you have areas like this, it doesn't really matter. And if you don't want to buy the stain, I think they look pretty decent the way they are if you just want to put a couple coats of polyurethane on them. And they might get dirty a little quicker, but I imagine you just wash them. But we are going to be staining all three of these, and then we're going to polyurethane them. So let's get to doing that. And stain in the polyurethane, you don't want to shake them. It'll just put bubbles in there, especially the polyurethane. Just simply mix it up from the bottom. Oh, something's going on over here at Westover Air Force Base. You hear the jets going by. Just very gently mix it up from the bottom. Alright, again, these very cheap, the foam brushes, and you could use it many times because you keep throwing them away. So we just cut pieces off them, and that is what we use. Alright, let me bring this in closer. Let me actually bring this up a little bit. You don't need to see the can. Alright. We're trying not to hit the pick as much as possible. I'm just dabbing it on, and I'm letting this stuff just drip down. Just gonna let it drip down. Covering every side. And that's where the napkin that I said you'll need handy comes in handy. Alright, so we've completely soaked this. Like I said, we're not going to wipe it off, we're not going to do anything. What we're going to do, and you have your napkin handy, because it's going to be dripping, and you're going to have to go back to this a couple times just to take the drip off the bottom. So I'm going to hang this up right here. And we are going to go to the next one. Again, putting it on very heavy. And we're not taking anything off. We're just going to hang them up and let them sit for... I usually let them sit for 4 or 5 hours. Let them really soak in. But I think I'm just going to let them sit for a couple hours. We'll come back and we'll polyurethane them. Alright, that's good. Again, a little dab off the bottom. And we're going to hang this one up right next to the other one. And I'm going to take this now because the other one's been hanging a little while, and I'm going to dab the bottom of the other one right now. We'll take the excess off that's been coming down. And we have one left. Some of you are probably saying, oh, just dip it right in there. That probably works too. You're not going to want to do that when you're polyurethaning it though, and I'll tell you why when we get there. Alright, we are completely soaked. And we're going to hang this one up. Like I said, you'll just have to come back to these a couple times. Your napkin, dab the bottom a little bit. Keep the drips from forming. And that's it, guys. And we will be back when we are ready to polyurethane them. See you then. Bye. Okay, so we're almost there now. It's a couple hours later. And, well, I had a fan on them. They still felt a little damp, but they are good enough to put some polyurethane on them. That's going to lock them in anyways. As you can see, it turned out pretty good. Got some nice little patterns on there. Excuse me. And it soaked in well. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to wipe them a little bit with a soft rag. In this case, I just have a face cloth. Just going to wipe off any excess that could still be on there. Alright, good enough. Okay, let's get this thing open. I'm using the Minwax fast drying polyurethane clear gloss. Like I said, it's about, I don't know, $6 for this little can. And also, like I said, you don't want to shake this stuff. You just want to mix it nicely from the bottom, because you will put air bubbles in it. Polyurethane is very important that you don't shake the can. So we're just going to mix it up pretty decently. Pull up from the bottom. Alright, that should be good. Same thing, we're just going to basically soak them, and we are going to be just hanging them up again. And have yourself another paper towel still ready, because you're going to still want to have to tab the bottoms. And I'm going to put a towel on the side of this. I don't want this dripping back in the can, because it kind of contaminates it. Sometimes, like, our next step, we're going to be sanding them a little bit. I'll end up getting sawdust in there, and my last can got a little low, and it started going on, and it felt sandy on the pick. And even though I sanded after the first coat, it still seemed like it was pretty gritty, I guess. Oh, and I'm dripping it in there just like I said not to do. I'm gonna try to drip it over here on the side. Put a pretty heavy coat on, let it drip down nicely. Alright, that's good enough. A little dabbing. And we are going to hang this one up and let it dry. And our next coat, like I said just before, doing it again. I was so used to doing that. We're going to do a little sanding in between coats with some very fine sandpaper, 1000 grit, possibly. I'll probably use a 1200. And usually 2 coats is all it needs. Alright. Hang this one up. And I'm going to go back to the other one, the bottom, because I'm sure it's dripping. And I'm going to get this one, bottom of it, dripping a little bit. I'll have to go back a couple times. Probably want to put a piece of paper underneath it or something so it don't drip on whatever you're hanging it over. And that's about it. Decent coat. And this in between coats with this fast drying really only takes about, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours, and you can sand them down a little bit and put your second coat on it. Alright, just trying to hang this up. Cool. Alright, little dabbing again on the bottoms of these. And we are done. Alright, I'll be back for the last and final stage, and we are done. You'll have some of your own pretty decent custom picks. Alright guys, I'll be right back. Alright guys, now we are on our last stage of the game here. The picks, you know, they look pretty decent with one coat, but at this stage they're still a little bit rough. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take, I have some 1200 grit sandpaper here. It's a little damp, and we're going to kind of just wet sand them a little bit and kind of smoothen them out before we put our last coat of polyurethane on them. And they'll be a lot smoother at the finish line. This whole process, it takes about, 2 days, but you're actually talking, for these 3 picks, I probably put in about a half hour worth of labor total. Okay, it feels nice and smooth. Just want to smoothen them out a little bit. You don't want to totally sand them down again, of course. We're just lightly sanding them and just smoothing them out a little bit. Yep, nice and smooth. They do just feel a little bit rough at this stage. We'll give them one more coat, and then I'll come back and I will show you. Well, I'll show you the finished product. Like I said, for me, these handles became very comfortable to pick with, so I like putting these handles on my picks. Alright, we are nice and smooth. Everything is smooth. Alright, again, you don't want to shake this stuff. Stir it nicely. Pulling up from the bottom. Alright, let's give these one more coat. I mean, you could give them 3 coats if you really want to go down, really want to get down with them. Alright, let's do this. Let me put a couple napkins underneath it. Move that out of the way. Okay, we're going to just kind of let it just drip down. I probably should have wiped them a little bit with that rag before I did this, but we'll be all right. All right, we're going to hang this up. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to wipe these a little bit with the rag. Make sure there's no sawdust on them. And that's another reason why you don't want to hang them at this point over the polyurethane. And after this stage, we shouldn't have to sand them or anything. They should just be fairly smooth anyways. Okay. Catch the drip on this one again. You got to come back to them a couple times or you'll end up having a drip at the bottom here. You don't really want that either. So you come back to the pick a couple times until they stop dripping, and then it'll all be good. Alright, one left. This handle actually, I like it. It's a little thicker. Should be pretty comfortable to pick with. A little bit wider than the original handles, and I think more comfortable than those rubber handles they give you for them. And definitely better looking. Alright, that should be good, guys. We are done with the labor. The rest is just a little bit of drying time. Catch these drips again on these. A little bit of drying time, and I will be back and I will show you the finished product. Alright guys, yeah, that's it. That's all it takes to put some decent looking and very comfortable wooden handles on pretty much your everyday pick setter and just the pick sets that you have right there in front of you. Except for the Petersons, of course. Can't really do anything with those handles, but I don't use Peterson picks anyways. A lot of you like them, and I respect that, but I just like the Sparrows, I guess. And I do like the 12-piece stainless steel, and of course I like my own personal custom picks now. But alright guys, we'll be back and I'll show you what they look like. See you then. Bye. Okay, we're back one last time to see how they came out, and let me know in the comments below what you think. And like I mentioned, you could probably put these handles on pretty much a lot of the picks that you have right there in front of you in your own pick sets. They don't have to be custom homemade picks or anything. You can put them on a lot of picks as long as they have a metal handle on them, like this Southard. This is from the Southard C1510, the slimline. As long as they have that type of metal handle on them, you could get these wooden. You could get those wooden handles on them. Just got to roughen them up a little bit with some coarse sandpaper, and you could get the wooden handles on them. So we've already put some wooden handles on these. These are, on these types of picks. They're from the Honest 12-piece stainless steel. We put some handles on those. We've put handles on these from Sparrows, picks from Sparrows, and I showed you how to slice these off very carefully. You could reuse these handles on another pick if you like. So we showed you how to put them on some of these Sparrows, and you could even put them on, well, of course, this is some picks from the beginner pick set, the Southard PXS 14. I mean, it comes with these handles here, but you can make them much more comfortable and much better looking with your wooden handles. And the metal that they have for this PXS 14 is actually pretty strong. Nothing like the metal that they use for the slimline. I mean, this metal here just bends too easily. I wasn't impressed with them at all. But yeah, you could pretty much put these wooden handles on a lot of the picks that you have right there in front of you. And we did these 3 picks here, and I'll bet it didn't even cost me 50 cents to do that. Alright, so one more thing before we look at these. I did put a couple more wooden handles on, a couple real quick that I had to actually I had to retape one of my sections of this video where we're at the bench grinder. I somehow lost that video where I grinded the handles on these 3. I don't know what happened to it, but it was gone. So I redid them real quick. I put some handles on these real quick, which I was going to be doing eventually anyways. We have the Matador here, and another nice hook from the Honest stainless steel 12-piece. So, and these are actually now ready to go. I've already rounded off the corners. They're ready for some stain, and I could put these back into production. Alright, now let's take a look and see how we did and how these picks look, because I think they look really nice. You can see that finish. Very smooth now, and that's with a little bit of wet sanding in between the coats for the polyurethane. That's only 2 coats, and very smooth now. And there's no more sand. I didn't do any sanding right now. That's just the way they came out. So, I think they came out really nice, and all three of them came out the same. Really nice finish to them. And as you could see, when you first start out with these picks, with these popsicle sticks, you cannot see the grain. You know, it just doesn't show up. But once you soak them with the stain, the grain really starts popping. I mean, actually looks pretty nice. Some of the grain in some of these, you'll be surprised. You don't even know what you're going to get, but some end up being really, really nice. So yeah, I think they came out pretty nice. Let me know what you guys think. I hope this video was informative and helped you out a little bit in showing you how to get these wooden handles onto your picks. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you have any questions on how this, procedures were done in any of these sections here, just leave them below and I'll try to get right back to you and, try to answer your question. And if you have any other comments, yeah, just leave them below. So yeah, everybody, thank you for watching, and yeah, everybody please be safe and stay legal. Thanks, guys. Bye.